I'm not gonna call it a robbery because it's not. I don't care
you
about
couldn't witness
because it's not. It's not. But we do get the Ravens and the Chiefs rematch of the AFC Championship game. Fly. How we feeling?
Yeah, feeling kind of good. I mean, I do like the direction that the team went in the offseason as far as just growing from last season, being the second year of Tom Monken's system. You're able to add new things, add new wrinkles. So that's going to be good. As far as Zay Flowers in his second season, that's going to be something that we'll have to monitor how he looks as far as his growth and development. But the sky's the limit for him. Rashad Bateman fully healthy. Re-signed in the offseason to a less than market value contract. So something where, he's feeling like he needs to prove himself. The team wants him to prove himself. So hopefully that's a perfect marriage. And we reap the benefits because of it. But as far as the season in general and, this upcoming game, I really just want to see growth because, when you sign your quarterback to the type of money Lamar was signed to, 185 guaranteed. There's going to be some cap decisions you have to make. So you can't re-sign everybody. You like to retain all your talent, but it oftentimes doesn't work that way. So now we've gone with the youth movement on both sides of the football. The defense is, much more. It is in a much more opportune spot to kind of continue last year's success. Although we lost some key vets. We just have to see if the young guys can step up on the defensive line and, a secondary, I think is going to be one of our strengths, see if our young linebackers can kind of get in there and make some plays. And then on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line, we'll talk more about that later, but, I'm excited for the Ravens season to begin. Last year, going into it, Sko mentioned me saying this is our year. Last year, I really felt like it was our year, and you saw the type of team we had and how it ended. So we were close, but we didn't accomplish our goal. This year, my expectations are a little bit more tempered just because I know this is a young team and we're gonna have to prove it out on the field. Last year really doesn't matter because the team is different. We're different at key positions. That can be a good or a bad thing. It just depends on the work that we put in and, how we scheme, how we grow from defeat. If we like to not repeat our mistakes, if we like to grow from our mistakes, if we come with that mind state, then the sky's the limit. But, it's really depends on how we go out there and look. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Keith, how you feeling?
Echo Nick's sentiments. I mean, it's week one, so I temper all expectations with that. You know what it's like after a long summer, long off season, where we haven't seen football in a while. And I mean, the last time we saw football was it left a bad taste in our mouth. So obviously you get a chance for get back, but is it really get back? It's week one. I hear a lot of fans right now putting a lot of stock. To me, it sounds like this is the AFC title game that's going down Thursday. It's not. We saw Detroit go into Kansas City and beat them week one last year. So let's just temper all expectations. We have a young offensive line, like Nick prefaced. Got a whole lot of young pieces, some young pieces on the outside as well. So going into the game, I'm just looking for us to begin to stack and build, looking to see what year two of this Todd Monken offense looks like. With Lamar Jackson behind the helm. I'm trying to see how we pick up the blitz this year. Obviously, they blitzed us a lot in January, and it didn't look good. Lamar was 1 for 6 against the blitz for about 13 yards passing. So that's an area that I'm looking for us to improve in. Schematically what Spagnuolo is with that defense, and for whatever reason, they've been able to dial it up and contain us. So the Ravens just have to stick to what we do, run the football, control the time of possession, and as long as you can keep 15 off the field, which is a tough ask, you've got a chance. But we've been in almost every game against this team. We've just beat ourselves. So you get an opportunity, I guess, to get right Thursday night, start the season off on a positive note. But I preface it with saying that this is a team that you ultimately until you beat them in January, what would a win in September mean? So obviously it'll be nice to go out and win on Thursday night, but we got bigger goals and expectations, and this is just a building block for us.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Keith, let me know who's playing, who's suiting up for both sides. Who's getting the helmet, who's not.
Yeah, for the most part, both teams are relatively healthy. Running back Raheem Ali was limited today in practice, while rookie Adisa Isaac didn't practice at all. And obviously for the Chiefs, they've had the injury, the Hollywood Brown, which occurred over the preseason. He did not practice. It looked like he's. I mean, obviously he's not going to play either. So that looks like the only one they'll be missing come Thursday night. So both teams relatively healthy going into the season. That's all you can ask for as a fan.
Absolutely. So let's get into. We're gonna do things a little different. So I'm gonna go around the horn. We'll start with Nick. Important matchups going into this week one matchup against the Chiefs.
Yeah, so the matchups that I wanted to highlight was our offensive line versus Chris Jones. And for obvious reasons, right? He wreaked havoc all last season, especially versus us in the AFC Championship game. And again, we talked about the offensive line this year, and the interior specifically is young and inexperienced, albeit talented. Got Andrew Voorhees, who missed all of his rookie season last year. He'll be making his first start at left guard, so he'll be side running. He started 25 games at right guard at USC, so he's a versatile lineman, but left guard is going to be something different for him. And after 2 preseason games, he played like a rookie, right? He had a lack of consistency, missed some blocks, but again, it's preseason, it's things you're supposed to get to work in the off season and preseason and training camp. So can't hold that against them too much. Just want to see how it develops over the course of the season. I don't expect it to be perfect week one. I expect this unit to grow as we move forward, but it's a tough task asking them to contain Chiefs pass rush. The Chiefs did well last season in the playoffs against us was they played pretty disciplined. They were able to stay in their base defense, able to have extra defenders in coverage while reaching home without having to send the house. And they also dared us to have to throw the ball once they stacked the box as well. So I'm assuming that they're going to try to do a similar strategy. We're going to have to block. It really comes down to us being able to block and execute on the outside and win on the outside. So he's going to be a big part of that, as well as Daniel Falehi, 6'8", 380-pound right guard at this point, right? Is he going to have the bend to be able to play that position? He's played tackle sparingly over the last couple of seasons, filling in for Stanley and Patrick McCarry, but now he faces a new challenge having to play in the interior. So I'll say this nicely. I mean, there aren't too many guards in the NFL at his size. I mean, he's a mammoth, right? So with that, you have some advantages, but being that the type of run scheme we employ, we need linemen to be able to get to the next level. We need them to be able to be agile and move their feet. 6'8", 380 pounds. We will see. Hand placement, knee bend, being able to get to the second and third levels. By all accounts, it's gotten better since the start of training camp. But then you have to ask yourself, what was the bar there? How bad was it at the start of training camp? And how much better? Was it marginally? Was it much better? We'll see. But these are question marks going into it. You do have a rock in Tyler Linderbaum as far as at center, but even then, flanked between inexperience, interior pressure is going to be not only important as far as Lamar Jackson, but also the new run game that we'll have with Derrick Henry. So definitely think that is going to be a key matchup. If we can get some production there, it's gonna allow us to do some things on offense that we want to see.
Okay. I'm rocking with you. Keith, Your matchup
Yeah,
for the
that,
week.
that leads me right into my matchup, actually, which is Derrick Henry and his Ravens rushing offense against his Chiefs defense. As everyone knows, the Ravens running back carried the ball for 6 times in our AFC title game for 23 yards. It's not going to cut it. It'll never cut it. It's never been the Ravens offense. And so going into this game, obviously you're looking at Derrick Henry, who's logged 447 yards in 4 games against the Chiefs. He averages 5.7 yards a clip with 6 rushing touchdowns. So I'm looking to see if we can pound the ball. Obviously, as Nick said, it's a young offensive line, but you got some girth up there. You got some size. So went up front and allow Derrick Henry to get downhill. And I think if he can get downhill, it only opens up the game for 8. And then after that, options are limitless.
All right. Last leads us right to keys.
Hit me on a slant. Give me keys to the inside. They took the keys. We don't have any keys.
Now give me the keys.
Man's got his own segment.
Niggas moving up in the world.
Yeah, man's got his own segment. I like it.
No, I mean, just to speak on with something that Nick talked about, he talked about Zay and Bateman. That's my main matchup going into the game. Just, I'm expecting, Zay needed a little redemption at the last year, how last season ended, and then the off-season problems. Just, just want to know that his head's in the game. And expecting the big thing, he's the number 1 receiver now. Like, he was coming as rookie last year, coming to his own, but he's the bona fide number 1 receiver. So, he got to perform like it. And then we talk about Bateman. Like you said, I don't know, what was the point of the contract extension? I mean, I don't know. Maybe just to, get it done early. But you have to have a first round draft pick year. You have to be that guy. You have to be somebody that be able to take the pressure off of Zay, because they will throw the double on them if they know you're going to play the way you've been playing. The pass offense was, Lamar ended up with the stats. He ended up with a playoff game. But the passing numbers, they were atrocious. The wide receivers were atrocious. Just not a good game from the receivers, not a good game from the tight end. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to, the receivers in the second year Moncton system. I think that's going to be the telling sign of, now we can develop these routes. We saw the stepping stones. We saw a lot of underneath stuff, a lot of wheel routes and stuff like that. So now it's time to compound the routes and you build them on top of routes. And we're going to see, what type of, where Lamar at, where he is in the second year with Moncton. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this season. The defense, I think, is going to be what the defense is going to be. We can get a little bit of pressure. We can get some of that pressure we got last year. We should be decent. We got pro bowlers at each level. So I'm not really concerned about the defense. Short of injury, we deep, like Nick said, secondary, that's going to be the strength of the team. They be able to serve. So I'm not really worried about defense. I'm just concerned about, not really, it's not a concern, but I'm interested to see what the second year offense look like. Are you able to go out there and dominate? Are you able to, how you want to use Derrick Henry early in the game, late in the game? Is it going to take away from what Lamar is doing? So is this an interesting aspect to see? But the one thing I like my expectations, like I understand, it's a young team, like y'all said. So you kind of temper expectations, but it's like, for me is my expectations are high. I don't think they lost much. I don't think everything I hear, like I said, we don't know what this team is going to be. We don't know how this team is going to jump. But everything I hear out of camp, everything I hear as far as the coaches, the defensive coaching, everything I hear about Lamar, how he's locked in, is like they didn't lose a lot. They didn't lose too much. So I expect them to go out there and pretty dominate. I expect them to be, when you just like when you start a job, your second year of job, I expect you to everything should gel. Everything should start working. So that's what I'm expecting from this offense. I'm expecting this offense to go out there and just dominate. Like we saw aspects of it last year, but we also saw them so last year. I want them to take out that dog game that they had over the last couple of years, where they just get into a spell where it's 3 and out. I want to see, they might have a game where they have 2 good drives. Then they have a next game where they don't have any, no decent drive, 1 good drive, 2 good drives here. I want to see that consistently. Even if you ended up with 3 points, I need to see the consistency in the second year of offense. I think that's going to be the key to the team. Because you got to think about it. Lamar, I mean, he can have 2 unanimous MVPs, and his stats last year weren't as good as his stats in his first MVP season. He still won it, So it's like you look at in the second year, this offense, if he did what he did last year, you're expecting him to go out and maybe win a third MVP, and that's what my expectation is. I'm not, I temper them a little bit because of the line. That's the only thing I'm worried about. That's my main concern is the offensive line. It can get ugly. That's what I'm saying. People not. I don't think people are talking about how bad it can get with that offense line. It can get really bad to the point where it can derail the season. So sure, if that line hold up, my expectations are the Ravens should go out there and they should win the AFC North and they should be number 1 seed and they should be able to get to a Super Bowl. Like I'm not tempering anything for them. Just because they're a young team. I feel like if we don't have the best player in the game, we have the top 2 player in the game, and he should be able to get the job done. But then we got to talk about the coaching. And can the coaching get you there? And that's my thing. And I think that's what holds this team back is, the line and the coaching. Because I think even that he's a little bit stubborn. He wants to play his guys. He wants to, do it the way he wants to do it. And I don't know if Lions holds up, but that's what's going to hold the Ravens back. It's going to be John Harbaugh, like every year. So we'll see. Not really.
I like we're starting already. Roll that man under that bus already.
Not putting
21 minutes in.
Yeah, not put too much Thursday. Of course, I want to win Thursday, but I mean, like you said, it's not. It doesn't make or break the season. It's not. Last year is what last year was. I want to keep talking about the AFC Championship game. It's a new season. You just got to. Hopefully, if you go in there and you just be fun. I just want to be fundamental. Don't go in there creating a bunch of false starts like we saw in the regular, like the preseason. Just be fundamentally sound, man. Just like a regular football. Just look like a team that look like they want to do something.
I like it.
I mean, listen, I agree. And just going back to the O-line, I mean, it just reminds me of that first, 2022 when we had Skull's favorite player, Villanueva,
my man,
at left tackle, and Lamar was just out here just running for his life. And we had to deal with injuries that season. I think, was Lamar knocked out that season towards the end?
Yeah, that's when he got hurt versus the Browns, right?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and we were the first to break the news, or at least make the observation that Lamar was losing weight, considerable amount of weight, before everybody's just started talking about it every other day. But, with him playing at 205 with no offensive line, yeah, he's going to be able to get out of there quicker, but he also is not going to have that girth, so to speak, to take as much bruising as he might need to take with this offensive line. So that's going to be a consideration too. Are we going to be able to keep him alive for a whole season? But saying that, Keys mentioned year 2 of Todd Monken's system. Well, in year 1, Zay Flowers, 45% of his 850 some odd yards came from yards after the catch. So what we were doing was getting the ball in his hands quickly, letting him work in space, letting him create. That's going to be something that we're going to need to do if we can't block or pass protect. Same with Bateman, as far as him being able to work in slants over the middle and intermediate routes. He's such a great route runner. He's going to have to show us, because we need him to get open quickly if defenders are going to be sending the blitz against Lamar. And also, teams are, probably going to try to mimic what the Chiefs did last season and other teams have done in previous playoff runs. I mean, seemingly they play us differently in the regular season than they do in the playoffs. I don't know if they start to adapt that playoff strategy and just try to employ it for an entire regular season. I'm not sure, but we're going to have to come up with an answer for the way the Chiefs defended us, because it's similar to the way the Titans decided to defend us. And it was similar to the way the Bills decided to defend us when it came down to one and done, win a game and you move on. That's how they choose to attack us, and we're gonna have to come up with an answer for that. So Keys mentioned the receivers. I definitely think Zay less so, but definitely Bateman. He's gonna have to just be an option for us. And then Monken, to your point, Keys, or year 2, we're gonna have to find a way to get Andrews and Likely on the field together, not like pulling one off the field and putting one on the field. No, using them in tandem like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and allowing them to play meaningful snaps and most of the snaps together. Because they might come in for a few packages last year, but they weren't on the field together at the same time much. We need them on the field all the time, because if you think about it, there's not a lot of depth on the outside. And, likely might be our third best pass catcher. Might be our second best pass catcher. So I would say third because we're counting Zay and Mark. So, yeah.
Bateman, they do not love you, man. They don't.
Well,
love you.
it's not about love. It's about
what have you done?
It's about production.
Yeah,
like we're not going to Kenny Pickett. We ain't going to Kenny Pickett. You know what I mean?
You gotta tell me.
Yeah,
I know. You gotta tell me.
Well, you got to show us first before we provide it. Like, I'm not. Yeah, we're not green. Like, we're not just going to be like, all right, yeah, no.
And like he said, with as far as the wide receivers in the secondary, go after that secondary. I mean, they lost L'Jarius Sneed in the offseason. Obviously, they got all pro Trent McDuffie back there, but test them, see what they got early, and really put the pressure on them and see what that secondary looks like, because it's without Sneed. To me, they're not the corners aren't as physical now. That's been the problem. That physicality and them getting the blitz, it wasn't really much time for wide receivers to get open. But I think this year it could be a little different. I think he was the key to that secondary, but we'll see.
And you can't get out coached by Steve Spags either. He won the last
trend.
Yeah, he won the last battle. But if we're gonna win this war and get back into the thick of things, I mean, we're gonna have to start out coaching other teams. And Monken, he's gonna have to draw it up. Shout out to Zach Orr. We're gonna have to see him call plays for the first time in his career. We don't know what to expect, but we do know he's a hell of a football mind, and he was a hell of a player before injuries took over. So,
just don't zone Patty in the first half again.
Yeah, and then Roquan Smith talking about. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Nah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask, what was the feeling around that statement of him saying, "Stop the run and put the ball in Patty's hands and make him one-dimensional"?
That's what he said.
Yes, that is what the Pro Bowler said.
I think at some point you gotta leave 15 alone, but
he's just excited for the season. Really
amped up. He ready to go.
he
I don't like it.
I mean, but I think he like I think he said pre-show. He might think still here was Chicago where they need wallpaper or something. I don't know. We don't do stuff like that here. Like, what's the point?
I don't mind if you do it. You just gotta back it up. He talked a good game before the AFC Championship too, and then came out and Justin Tucker's helmet was getting kicked.
They was can't talk post game in the locker room.
You can't talk like that and then not come out with fire, right? Like, I don't care about losing. I'll say this all the time. It's not the fact that we lose; it's how you lose. If we lose and we die with our sword in our hand, or we die with our guns blazing, I can respect that and go out like, we went out like, blaze of glory. But we ain't go out with no blaze of glory last year. We went out sad. So if we're gonna do all this yapping and talking, I don't know. It's just not for me if there's no action behind it.
All right. With all that being said, week 1 of the Pick'em starts now. Game predictions. What's the outcome week 1?
I mean, I got the Chiefs. I'm sorry. I mean, what you want me to say?
You go for a championship early, like you. I respect it.
I mean, I would love to be. Wrong, but this ain't the Super Bowl. I don't. If we lose week 1, who cares? I just don't know. I feel like we got to give the Chiefs some. I don't believe that we beat ourselves. I believe that they beat us and they took their foot off the gas. After a while, they decided to play ball control offense and just run out. And they're able to do that because they're just better coached. Like, we've tried to do that in big moments, but it don't be working out like for us in offense. But they actually know how to do that. And that's what they did. And then when they needed a play on third down, they just went deep and sealed it. So, and then you talk about the fact that how do they bounce back from that? I mean, they won a Super Bowl by dinking and dunking all year. And then now they have 4-2 speed on the outside. You got Samaje P. Ryan, who's replacing old Jerick McKinnon. to play on third down. You know what I mean? Patty loves to dump down, so you have that option. You have speed now vertically. Kelsey came back. Rashee Rice is in his second season. He's only going to get better. The offensive line is only better. You know, many people on that front. So they weren't supposed to win last year, and they got better. I don't know if we're where we want to be. I think towards the end of the season, I think it'll be a better as far as being able to me being more confident that we can win. But it's week one. They're getting their Super Bowl rings. They're going to be amped up. I got the Chiefs in a close game.
Keys, who you got?
I mean, I could just be a homer and just pick us just because. I mean, that would be the only reason. I mean, they could win this game, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs at home. Just from the simple fact, I think the crowd is gonna be a factor. I don't until this offensive line show me, I can't just come out here and say they're gonna be able to step up against Chris Jones and them boys in Kansas City the night that they get their rings. That might be too much. That might be asking too much of them. So I'm just going with the Chiefs for the simple fact that I think Lamar gonna be under constant pressure all night.
I like where this is going. Keith, who you got?
I'm going with the Ravens. You know me. Ravens 27, Chiefs 21.
Oh, he got a score. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Ravens win. Like I say, it's week one, so you really don't know what to expect, and that goes on both ends. I'm just banking on 8, making a play or 2 more. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised either way we win or lose this game. There's more about the building blocks for me this season, but give me the Ravens in game 1, 27-21.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
Oh, surprise.
I know it's crazy, right? But no, I mean, I agree with Keith. I'm and all of y'all. I wouldn't be surprised if y'all won this game. I am interested to see how they deploy Xavier Worthy early. That speed is intriguing. They haven't had that kind of speed since Tyreek Hill, and he might be faster than Tyreek Hill.
You gotta get physical with him.
That too. He's light in the ass. Pause. So but I want to see if you can even get a hand on him. You can't touch what you can't see. So I want to see how they deploy him. Isaiah Pacheco taking steps to being the top running back in this league. But the offensive line, as y'all have highlighted a lot during this segment, is you going up against George Karlaftis and Chris Jones and them boys, and they just gonna build on what they did last year. George Karlaftis is only gonna get better. Chris Jones is all world. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Lamar gonna have to show that elusiveness early and probably often, and I think that's gonna be the key. 15 makes a couple more plays than 8, and that's what I'm banking on. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.